let's get caught up a little bit on recruiting, where we're at. Florida State had a good few days there. Want to know what's ahead. What can we expect? What are some names that we're looking at intently? Good, bad, and everything in between when it comes to recruiting. Michael Langston at 120-ish. We'll go that route, get him on board, and get some clarity there. I know right now, things are looking up. If we use the sound clip, that's what we'd go with. Things are looking up right about now. Florida State has some other guys, I think, that are on the radar. One of them very significant and looks to be in good shape to get a yes, a verbal. It's the funniest thing whenever we get into recruiting. I don't know if this is everybody, but I just ever since the one fateful signing day that it was, disastrous is another way of describing it, a couple years back. Ever since then, you're just kind of like, well, what does it really mean? I mean, granted, you're much better off having a kid say that he is verbally committed to you than not. I mean, it's certainly a good sign. And you do create a buzz, and you do create momentum, and you do get people believing in that this is now a destination. You see it a lot when you have a guy who does a good job once he commits of recruiting others. You really want that affable, gregarious sort of, I think, sort of kind of opinion maker within a class. You want a guy that kind of stirs the drink, the straw that stirs the drink, somebody that influences a lot of other kids. And Lord knows we know how easily we were all influenced when we were 16, 17, 18 years old. Hello, Troy Noel. Hello, Zyler and Lewis and everybody else aboard here. You and me both, Michael, by the way, so ready for the season. I said it yesterday when we started the show, man. This is as early as it's ever been for me in terms of waking up every day and thinking football, just thinking football. I mean, we kind of think football year round in a weird way. This, as a country, sports fandom, we kind of think football year round. If you look at the numbers, that is certainly proven true. When you look at the television numbers, you look at the ratings, football drives everything. Nothing else is even close. It's football, and then it's a distant second, right? Everything else is distant. And as much as I love baseball, and I do, and I should say, by the way, Braves fans, it's not like it's been a tough road for you the last few years. It's been really good. But I don't know why, but you answer this question in the chat for me. Do you love this team more than the one from a couple years ago that won it all? Because I do. And I'm not a Braves fan. I like your team, man. That team is a joy to watch. They are awesome. I was looking, yesterday I gave you the American League numbers. Does anybody remember? I go on a baseball tangent for a second. I know you do, Director Matthew. Who this guy bet on to win the MVP preseason? Do you remember the discussion where I said I'm going to throw a few shekels down on the MVP?
Acuna, right?
Yes, Ronald Acuna Jr. That's exactly who I voted for. And how would you put into perspective, in the Braves who are 58-28, how would you put into perspective his 21 homer, 41 stolen base pre-All-Star game season in perspective? It's pretty hard to do. By the way, just for giggles, he's en route. And we love to do this on-pace thing. Everybody does. He's on pace for a 40-homer, 75 stolen base club. It's never been done. In the history of baseball, it has never been done. So we talk about unicorns when it comes to Ohtani, who is incredible. And by the way, Acuna is only behind Ohtani in OPS. So you look at these first half numbers, he has 78 runs scored, which leads the majors. 28 of those runs have come in the first inning. And he also, the Braves lead the league in on-base percentage. He's a massive reason why. And like I said, he is on pace to do something that nobody's ever done. You've heard me say on this show as a diehard baseball fan that I think, if it's possible, Ricky Henderson is one of the most underrated players in baseball history, despite being a Hall of Famer. Like, you can make compelling arguments when you take Ricky Henderson's numbers in totality and the effect he had. Let's put a 10-year window. Let's give him, because he had a really long career, but there's about a 10-year window when you go and look at the game-by-game effects that Ricky Henderson had, right? Just his presence in atop a lineup and getting on base, 100-plus stolen bases, that the speed-power combo, the way that he bothered pitchers and affected the next AB. Now, that's one of those things that's hard to quantify unless you watch the games. Like, you're a diehard baseball fan. I know you watch the game. So you can see a guy have an effect on a game that will not show up statistically. It won't show up. It won't be measured by even the most advanced metric. Like now, back in the day, if you were an elite defender and you went and got it out in the outfield, they didn't have the measuring stick for defensive range. You know, what was your range? What was your ability? How many balls do you get to that other players cannot get to, or that nobody else gets to, right? They didn't have a means to show that. So you would talk to old timers who saw Willie Mays or Roberto Clemente, and they would say, well, you had to have seen him. You just don't understand. Like, if you watch them play, line drives into the gap that were going to be triples or doubles at the very least, those two guys got to balls that nobody else could ever get to, and they made it look really easy. But because they didn't have the measure back then, the advanced metrics, to be able to tell you what that was specifically, you couldn't compare and contrast it to a modern-day player. You don't know. You don't know. Moving forward, you'll know. You'll be able to look and say, okay, his defensive zone metric is this compared to this player who came along 10 years later. We know that they were able to cover this amount of ground in this amount of time. They're using traditional numbers. Their fielding percentage is this. Then you add it up with their hitting and their stolen bases, and you can kind of evaluate exactly what they are as a player. When you do that with Ricky Henderson, there's like a 10-year run where nobody came close to having the impact on the game that he did. And we've got players now in the modern game that's being played faster, is more enjoyable to watch than it has been in many years. And you're seeing that, by the way, reflective in attendance and overall television ratings. People are coming back to baseball in a way they haven't in years. But it's also because of guys, not just like Ohtani, but like Ronald Acuna Jr. That dude is no longer a rising star. He is a superstar that is so fun to watch. If you're a Braves fan, man, you enjoy this, man. Enjoy this. It's insane watching how good they are and how much fun it is. Now, back to recruiting, why we're having Michael Langston on. Again, I wonder how many of you do the thing that I do, where you get excited about a player saying yes, you get excited about guys that are interested in the program, you get excited about what you hope is obviously a hell of a signing class, but you don't get too excited about July. You don't get too excited about June and July. Because you know, it's going to be tough. Matt C. is again listening. Last day in Iceland. 58 degrees and sunny. Good for you. Enjoy Denmark as well. High in the 60s. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? I saw an article, and this is something that goes along with our efforts to prep in the offseason in the deadest of times before you go to the ACC kickoff and camp gets started, which is now rapidly approaching, less than a month. We think, certainly, until camp gets started. Just a reminder of the shuffle in the ACC at quarterback. Pretty crazy, right? As you go through and look at the names of those and where they landed. Heads up in case you forgot. Georgia Tech, you know who their starting quarterback is? Haynes King from Texas A&M. Remember him? Opened up as the starter at A&M in both the 21 and 22 season. Benched early in the year, had a shoulder injury as well. He's there at Georgia Tech. Whatever. Louisville, Jack Plummer. You know him? He was the kid at Cal. Plummer threw for 3,400 plus yards in 3 seasons under Braum at Purdue, but ended up in a backup role behind Aiden O'Connell. Instead of being number 2, he transferred to Cal, was the starter in 2022. He comes back to Braum now at Louisville. That's the route they went. Jack Plummer, NC State. You know who the starting quarterback is at NC State? Well, that was the starting quarterback at Virginia, Brennan Armstrong, who threw for over 9,000 yards at Virginia. Bad offensive line in 22, took an ass kicking. That with his first season with Tony Elliott as a head coach. Rather than return to Charlottesville for his final season, he said, let me take it on down the road. Not liking this. Not enjoying taking this ass kicking on a weekly basis. Tony, I don't think you're the answer, baby. I'm going to go over to NC State. And he reunites with his offensive coordinator, Robert Anae. He was Virginia's OC during the time that he was with the Cavaliers and then went to NC State. Jerkovich is at Boston College, lest we forget. We all remember him coming out of high school. If you covered recruiting, you know he was a top 100 recruit. He was a guy who was originally slated to go to Notre Dame, then did go, spent 2 seasons there, transferred to Boston College. Kind of people got lost in the shuffle, then played really well, but then had injuries. Has a COVID year remaining. They're still out there. Guys playing until they're 35 years old. 2 mortgages, a belly, balding, 3 kids. Decided to transfer to Pitt. Going to play in his hometown while reuniting with the Panthers offensive coordinator, Frank Cignetti, who's got to be a cop in a crime series somewhere. Cignetti! That was his OC for 2 years at Boston College. Virginia, Tony Muskett, who was at Monmouth. If you know that, good on you. You are watching Monmouth football, which means you're a gambler. And we're having a beer. So once Armstrong leaves Virginia to transfer, Tony Elliott says, well, what do I got to do here? And he goes with Tony Muskett, who started 23 games at Monmouth, an FCS program. By the way, where's Monmouth? Do you know? New Jersey. Thomas Castellanos, Boston College via UCF. Paul Tyson, Clemson via Arizona State. Brady Allen, Louisville via Purdue. Christian Valou, Pitt via Penn State. You remember him. Brayton Davis, Syracuse via South Carolina. Tyrone Drones, Virginia Tech via Baylor. That's all. Those are the only transfers in the ACC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Modern college football, kids. It is kind of, think about that. Think about it. I'll do it really quickly again. This is real, not me kidding. These are the transfers in the ACC at quarterback. Haynes King, Jack Plummer, Brennan Armstrong, Phil Jerkovich, Tony Muskett, Thomas Castellanos, Paul Tyson, Brady Allen, Christian Valou, Brandon Davis, Tyrone Drones. And if you want to take the other kids, like the Slovis kid who was at Pitt is now at BYU, you keep going. Silliness. And then it makes you wonder, what will Florida State do next year after Jordan Travis takes it on down the road? You think we're good? You think we're good, everybody? Feel good about it? I'm not making it up, James P. Michael Langston, speaking of recruiting, going to join us in mere moments. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. No doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first. About location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers, and that's not all. Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270-146. A cup of joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Honey, I just got a text from Dave. He wants us to come over for a barbecue. What's our excuse for not going?
Oh, no need for an excuse anymore, because Dave got a new grill from Hearth and Patio.
Oh, thank goodness. Dave, we will be happy to join y'all this weekend, and congrats on the new grill from Hearth and Patio. My wife said she would bring potato salad.
Hearth and Patio invites you to elevate your grilling game this year with one of their amazing grills from Fire Magic, Royal Master, or Blaze Grills. Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, making barbecues great in the Sunshine State.
Honey, Dave said no raisins in the potato salad this time.
Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show, now in Tallahassee Afternoon Drive from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM WT.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Redemption, or I think that's what that is too. Even with preseason football, when we found the automatic ATM in the form of a coach who cares very, very deeply.
Is he still undefeated, or did they lose one?
I didn't go back and look to see if Harbaugh was still undefeated in the last 5 years in preseason or not. We should check that during my interview with Michael Langston. And before I get to my interview with Michael Langston, he's about to join me in just a second. We really appreciate him making time for the show today. I'll pick his brain, find out where we're at and what we can look forward to, and look back on what we just did. I do want to wish a very special happy birthday and very belated happy birthday to one Brandy Brown, who's sponsoring the segment today, if only because she's got an awesome husband. And she's awesome because she listens to the show and has religiously for a very long time. And we love to say happy birthday to those that are huge fans of the Jeff Cameron Show and support what we do here at 93.3 and Warchant TV as well. So thank you, Brandy Brown, and thank you so much for listening to the show religiously. And happy birthday belatedly. All right, now with that, let's do this. He's Michael Langston, senior recruiting analyst for Warchant.com. He's on my screen if you're watching right now on Warchant TV. And if you're listening in the car, you'll hear him just fine. All right, Michael, exhale, buddy. You and I did a lot of videos together, and for good reason, right? We were excited about what was going on with Florida State recruiting. Let's exhale for a second and tell me where we're at here. Things going according to plan, yes or no?
I think they're pretty close to what their plan is. I think I think you can pick a position like defensive tackle that they felt like they would have one more in there already, but I think overall, I think it's going close to what they've had expected. Maybe even a little better with some of the guys like D.D. Holmes was a little quicker than probably they thought it would be. But I think overall, it's a good job of what you want going into that summer, and it's not a surprise that Charles Lester's kind of the final one to finish that summer off. So I think that was certainly orchestrated.
All right, so if you were to look at the On3 rankings, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think they're 12th nationally, second in the ACC, class score of 90.68. So they continue to improve their stock. We're leaning towards a definite yes here soon at the end of the month from Lester, are we not?
Yeah, we are. I feel good about that one. I've said all along, everyone's mentioned Georgia, Alabama. I'm not worried about them compared to the only one that's concerned to me is Dion, because Dion does a good job with these young cats at defensive back, but it doesn't affect my decision of what I think. I feel strongly that it's going to be FSU. I felt it was going to be FSU for a while. I haven't heard anything that changes my mind, so I definitely think they're going to get some good news on late in July.
Biggest surprise, biggest disappointment for the 2024 class to this point?
Defensive tackle, biggest disappointment for me. Just there's not many options. It's looking like they're going to have to go to the portal if they want guys, because I'm not seeing options. That's the main thing with me, is the options more so than the guys you've landed. There's a lot of talented guys out there. You see all kinds of schools getting top 4-star defensive tackles. So that's the biggest disappointment to me. Probably throw linebacker in there as well, that they haven't gotten the guys. And there's a few more options, but still, those are areas that I feel like they could do better on and certainly improve on. I guess biggest surprise is the amount of ground they made up on those two DMV kids in Elijah Moore and D.D. Holmes to get those guys that quickly. I think it says a lot to the staff. And then, too, we talked about a lot of what they do. The thing that surprised me the most is just their eye of evaluations. Like, they're almost always hitting on these guys. I mean, we've seen it with Luke. We've seen it with a lot of these different players and recruits they're landing, that they have such a strong eye for talent.
They do a good job with the evaluation. We see it both in the portal, and we hope certainly we're going to continue to see it with the high school kids. How big was it then, since the pickings are pretty slim? I know you're just alluding to it now. That D.D. Holmes one was big. I think Papuchis needed to get a win.
Yeah.
Listen, I've never questioned, and I've talked to you about this, and people think he's a good recruiter. But if you're on the outside looking in and you see him with two public misses, and then last year the kid that goes to Auburn, who you could have predicted was going to do that to him, it's hard to get kids out of Alabama. He kind of needed that win. That was a big win for Papuchis.
I agree 100%. I think he needed something to get his summer going, whether it's him or somebody else or LJ McCray or somebody. He needed somebody to really just give them a nice boost, especially after last year. And because the thing is, they're only going to remember what you last did. They're not going to remember the previous year where you got some really good talent. You loaded up and got some talented dudes, but I think it's a what have you done for me lately thing, and people want to know right now. And I think this is a big deal for him to get a guy like D.D. Holmes. I do feel like July 15th is another weekend that's going to be big for FSU. I expect they're going to likely get 3 more additions. Mekhi Danzy's going to announce on a 4-star out of local Florida High. And then you also have Jonathan Daniels, 5-star offensive lineman. He's going to announce. And then I think Kevin Levy, another defensive back, the cousin of Ricky Knight, who just committed to FSU. So I think those three, I think you likely are going to see, in my opinion, at FSU.
Michael, I look at a program like Georgia, and obviously they're on top of the college football world. They've won back-to-back national titles. They're trying to do something unprecedented and winning back-to-back national titles. But one of the things that I always notice is, sure, there's a lot of talent at receiver, running back, et cetera, skill positions. But namely, they win on the offensive line and on the defensive line, and they get a ton of talent there. Do you find in recruiting that once you get a foothold, and it's hard to do, but once you gain some momentum, like I'm looking at Florida State's defensive back recruiting, and it's exceptional, and they continue to have names out there that we know are probably going to sign, and that class will look really good. And it feels like they have momentum there. And there are other aspects of the program that has momentum. Wide receiver, I know Ira just wrote about it. You and I have talked about it. You just mentioned Elijah Moore. What a big get that was. For Florida State, I wonder, they're 12 deep right now on the offensive line. A lot of that has been transfer portal along with some development. Right. How is Georgia? So Georgia's number one on that list right now with offensive line, right? How far away is Florida State from getting there? Because Alex Atkins is so dynamic.
Yeah, I think with Alex, it's fine. I've talked about this before with Odell. Like, I love Odell. When they get there, Odell develops the crap out of them. They're really good. That hasn't changed. Obviously, portal seems to be where most success is at. It's not high school. So that's the difference. If you had something that matched what Alex did from a high school, I think you could be there. I think they're not far away from what Alex recruits. Alex gets the top tier guys. And so I think Alex is fine, but I think, it's kind of a what is your value type of thing. Not every coach is on the staff is going to be excellent recruiters, as you point out with a few guys. But you need to have something where there's the value there. And I think from the portal, that's where Odell really nails it. He kills it. When kids are coming in, because these kids are no nonsense. They don't want all the red carpet crap. They don't care. Show me what you are. Show me what I'm going to be. Show me what I'm going to be doing. And that kind of I think they resonate with that. Whereas high school kids, and college portal kids seem to resonate with what Alex does. So it's not the downgrade one or the other. It's like that's kind of where they're at as far as those two positions. And yeah, Georgia kicks butt. I mean, now I will say Georgia doesn't get you don't see a ton of transfers coming in there, but man, high school talent.
In high school, yeah.
They load it. They load it up.
So I'm asking questions that we have some here in the chat. Feel free, everybody, when we have Michael on, you can do that. And I'll ask these questions to Michael. Which kids have we missed on who we were leaning towards getting that we thought we were going to get as commits? Who have we missed on so far that you think they thought they were going to get?
I think early on, 4-star James Madison. But that one also, as I mentioned, people can go on the PRB, a Premium Recruiting Board. You can read, like I did a breakdown yesterday of why some of these cause and effects of why they happen. But I think James is definitely one of them they liked a lot. And then bam, we heard a lot of Elijah Moore, and you're kind of like, okay, are they still going to push? So I think it's a loss. So that certainly hurts. Trying to think of other guys. I would say Colin Fox. I mean, 4-star tight end. I think they felt like going before he took that visit to UCF that, hey, we're in position. We're going to get this guy. And then, then he visited UCF. UCF makes him the number one guy, where we know FSU's number one guy is going to be Landon Thomas.
Yeah.
So they use that against him. And so both of these, even the losses, I'd say Jason Zanamella was probably the one that hurt the most, because that was one where that's a major need. You need centers. Alex needs centers. He really wants centers in this class. So to admit, that's really, to me, the only true miss. The other misses are more cause and effect because you got somebody else or because of what you already have. Now there's still misses, but those would be the three for me, Jeff: Zandamela, Fox, and Madison.
Yeah, and it's hard to get mad about Fox. I mean, if Landon Thomas is here to go along with what you already have, I can't imagine that there's a ton of playing time just waiting for a kid to come in here. He's got to know that, right? I mean, the chances he goes and plays at UCF pretty quickly, if that's where ends up. Yeah, obviously, but that's not going to happen here right now with what you have. I mean, look what they did with moving Brian Courtney from tight end to linebacker. Well, look, I love Brian Courtney, and I've talked about this very publicly, but I never really thought he was going to get on the field anytime soon. He was better suited to be a linebacker. They've gone from having no tight ends that are plus players to having 3, maybe 4 in the next year. at that position. It's crazy how quickly that's been overhauled and how you went from no receivers to having a bevy of receivers. Think about that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Especially the receiver position, because that was one that there was one year they didn't even sign one.
Right.
Just didn't even get one. So now it's like all the receivers want to come here. Dugans is all of a sudden good again. Like Dugans didn't forget about coaching, guys. He knew how to coach.
Well, I always knew
So
he could coach you. He just wasn't getting the S's.
right. So there's waves of this stuff. But
Mhm.
it is amazing the turnaround what they did at tight end and receiver. And there's still some weak points, but as I said before, your coach, there's certain coaches on the staff that have to have a certain value to them, what they are. With certain coaches, like it's development, what they do when they're there. Some coaches are about just getting the guys there. So it's like if you feel good about their value, and this is why I would tell something to FSU fans. This is why you shouldn't worry. FSU kills it in the portal. Like when there's a weakness in their roster, like say they're missing on the defensive tackle or say they're missing on the linebacker, they're going to go to the portal and get that guy. And it's going to be top tier guys. So that's why I'm not really overly concerned about even the weak points in their high school recruiting at this stage.
So a lot of times when you have a huge name like Landon Thomas,
Mhm.
or right now a name who continues to rise up the boards and people get excited about, and he's at the most high-profile position there is in Luke Kromenhoek.
Mhm.
So are those kids, just you know them, you've talked to them a lot, are those kids good recruiters as well?
I think Luke is a very good recruiter, like really elite. I think Landon's kind of when they're on campus, he's good, but I think Luke is definitely the bell cow. I would say watch out for Ricky Knight. He might be only a 3-star recruit,
Yeah, just
but
got him.
he's got a high level 4-star recruiting skills. There's certain guys that know how to connect with players, and I think Luke is the best at that. Luke's phenomenal. Cam Davis is also another one he tries. He's very active. But I think D.D. Holmes another one that will be really well received as far as the way he recruits people. But Luke to me it's the clear bell cow. Like Luke has a way of. I remember Jeff when they had their big visit weekend and there was like 15 kids here and I got texts from certain people that are around the parents of other recruits that had never met Luke before in their lives, and they're like, this kid's amazing. Like this kid, he has a way to connect with you no matter who you are, no matter what your background is. He has a way to connect with you. I don't know what he's doing, but his personality
Yeah.
wise, but he's nailing it, and he just has a way of connecting with you, but not also pressuring you that hey, you need to be at Florida State. It's kind of like just I'm getting to know you personally, and the relationship is just it connects so strongly with a lot of these kids. I couldn't believe, some of these guys have met Luke for the first time and they're like, this guy is the big thing I could say about Luke is very likable. He's a very likable person to be around.
All right, I'm going to throw a curveball at you and ask you something you
Uh-oh.
didn't think I'd ask you. Nothing terrible. It's a guy you know, but we're tired of having to have conversations about what we're not at kicker. So Jake Weinberg,
Yeah.
can you give me Jake Weinberg? What is he? Is he a thunderous foot, really accurate from 45 and in? What is he?
Number one kicker in the country. How's that make you feel?
I like that. I like
Okay. Number one, he's a kicker. He's a kicker all the way. He definitely has a strong leg. He can definitely hit it from 50, 52. Very consistent within the 40s, 45 range.
I mean,
Certainly.
at this point, Michael, right? That's what we say. Like right now, if you told Florida State fans, look, our kickers this year, we got a couple of them, right?
Yeah.
Between the two of them are going to produce consistency from 47 in. You take that all day long. I mean, yeah, you'd love to have a superstar who can make a 56-yarder when you have to have it, but you would take that all day long because that's how frustrating and how inconsistent they've been. That's why I asked you about our kicker in this class, because I thought, well, I mean, is this guy a star? Is he just a guy that had to settle on? Is he? Because I'm not watching recruiting. I'm not paying attention to recruiting kickers. I knew you did though, and so I wanted to know what he was.
Yeah, and he's good. And you know what? He's a different type of guy that I've been around with kickers. Like I've been around Jake a lot. I've obviously communicate with him. pretty frequently when he's on campus, and this kid has a little edge to him and a moxie about him, that's different from a lot of other kickers. Usually kickers are just reserved to themselves. This kid's got some confidence. He plays with confidence, and he feels feels confident. You put me in that situation, I'm going to nail it. So I think on paper everything looks good, but I get why people would want to know about that.
Well, I wanted to get caught up. Thank you. And remind everybody again, I know obviously anybody can go over to warchant.com. First of all, guys, like, subscribe, all the good stuff there, and find out what Michael is writing about, what he has to say about these players that have committed and those that still might. So you think in the next, July 6th today? Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
You think in the next 3 weeks we're looking at how many more yeses? Take us through the end of July.
I would say around 5 more.
5 more.
Yeah, 4 or 5 more. I'll put 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'll give me a little hole.
Yeah,
but 4. I'd say 4. I'd say 4 or 5. I'm pretty confident on that.
All right, riding the fence. Appreciate you. Easy, Michael. I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, bud. Take care.
Appreciate it. That is senior recruiting analyst Michael Langston. 4 to 5. 4 to 5 guys. They feel very good about Lester. Somebody asked about it earlier. They do 5-star corner. That does a lot for your ranking if you're into that sort of thing. But also, again, they've got, we think, a big-time offensive line recruiting Daniels coming. So you start getting me another offensive lineman if along the way, and remember this, and this is a big part of it as well, you're getting verbal commitments right now. It is July. There's a lot of time between now and signing day. And that could be good and bad, right? You have a bad season, many of these verbal commitments begin to, wane, begin to look elsewhere. You have a good season, and Florida State, we think, at the very least, is going to have a good season. We're talking about the difference between good and great. We're not talking about bad to good. Bad to good was last year. Good to great is what we're hoping for this year. The bar, the low, the floor is good. That, too, affects recruiting, and I got to imagine if this offense ends up being prolific, and it has a chance to be, then you're going to get more yeses in that group. If this defense is improved, takes a step forward, I think they will with this defensive line big time, then you'll get yeses there too. You'll find answers to questions you have now. What I'll be closely looking at, and I continue to bring this up, and until I see a change, I'm going to have to. I look at linebacker. I just want to see us take that next step there in linebacker recruiting. Now, again, you got a kid that I'm excited about from a year ago, from last year's recruiting class to come in this year that I think has a chance to be very good. We'll see how quickly he can. But they've got to get better and more consistent in that realm. I know the game has changed some, but we'll see. I like where we're at on the offensive line. Like to see something there. It's interesting that they're not getting as much movement on the defensive line, but they are loaded going into the season on the defensive line. So we'll see if that group dominates, if Odell can't become more influential in the recruiting game here as Florida State continues to improve on the defensive front. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
2 people were shot at a gas station on Appalachia Parkway in Tallahassee Wednesday night. The department was notified of the shooting just after 9 p.m. It is unclear if any suspects are at large or if there was a threat to the public. As of about 10 p.m., the TPD watch commander said no one has been taken into custody. The state of those involved in the events leading up to the shooting are unclear. This is a developing story. A new 7-story apartment complex is set to go where the GVO nightclub used to be. The property, located on the corner of Railroad Avenue and Gain Street, has been sitting empty for months. The project is going through the approval process with the city's zoning department. The 7-story, 41-unit complex will have space for commercial businesses and extend back into the All Saints neighborhood to build parking. The project does not yet have a set completion date because it is still awaiting approval. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, mainly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 93. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Scattered thunderstorms likely. Lows dip down to about 75. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Scattered thunderstorms likely. High of 94. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 93.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one of the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network.
Worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and the price. Of course, buying a home could be the most significant investment that you ever make. But here's some good news. You have friends at Legendary Home Loans. They're on your side, in your corner, however you want to say it. They go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000. That's right, for your down payment. That'll work. Hey, here's $25,000. Helps out first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers. That's not all. Shannon is an expert navigating the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get the best and most competitive interest rates, guide you through the process every step of the way. Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Diehard Knowles, those boys are forever procuring home loans for you in the Florida State realm. That's right. Talk about the upcoming season with those guys. They'll do it. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Go to FSUHomeLoans.com. Ask for Shannon Young. Looking back at where we're at in recruiting, you get those 5 guys. He said 4 or 5. Get those 4 or 5 guys, and you're talking about a top 10 class. And, I think people will take that. Feel pretty good about it. I referenced Florida State flipping the tight end room, but I also referenced in that same sentence the wide receiver room. Ira Chaffell's got a story on Warchant.com on how that was done. Go read that now. Ron Dugan's somebody we're celebrating and we were all rooting for, but getting concerned about and on the cusp of saying, you know what, maybe it's time to move on. Not working out. Turned out it got turned around. It is working out. He's kicking ass. And the yeses have been, bountiful. To the point, you want to look at On3's rankings. Actually, I should say that is PFF's rankings. And again, PFF, I like some aspects of PFF. There are other aspects of it, I think, that don't get the entirety. They don't measure all of what somebody is or is not. The numbers don't always bear out what a team is or is not within a segment group. But it is another measuring stick. It is a means by which to utilize ways of gauging a core, a group. And as it stands currently, Florida State comes in at number 5. Ohio State, Texas, and, you have, think about Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington, guys like that at Texas. That's a good group. Washington, Michael Penix Jr. lit it up last season, and they have a bunch of studs there. Georgia, obviously, when you throw in the mix of players that they have. But Florida State, if I had told you a couple of years ago that Florida State, and if you'd like, you can go ahead and include tight end in this mix, because certainly that's what you're doing when you look at Georgia. Everybody starts with Brock Bowers, as you should. Freak of nature. Anytime there's a tight end being mentioned as a possible number 1 draft pick, that doesn't happen, folks. It doesn't happen. Ohio State year in and year out, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is a freak, and you go on and on and on. But this is the company Florida State is keeping currently. You bring in Keon Coleman from Michigan State, a massive get. You already have Jaheim Bell, who you brought in from South Carolina at tight end. You have Johnny Wilson, who obviously emerged last year as a massive target, 6'7". Jordan Travis is going to have fun this year, guys. He's got a running game. He's got a deep offensive line. He himself is mobile. If you think about Morlock and you think about Wilson and you think about Coleman and you think about Bell and you think about Biscuit and you think about, good Lord, Portier, you've got 6'4" and 6'4" and 6'7" and 6'7" and 6'5". You go on for days. Massive advantages in the red zone. It is a pick your poison offense. You're loaded at running back. Benson's going to have a massive year, and they aren't bums behind him. And I keep saying this, like, if you're a defensive coordinator, imagine having to deal with sort of a pick your poison sort of thing, right? You got, okay, who are we shutting down when we play Florida State this weekend? Who is it we have to worry most about? And what are the areas of extreme risk for us? If you spread everybody out and somebody has to go man, Jordan Travis could run for days. Could run for days. So we talk about projecting what a offense will score per game, what they'll be, in terms of their rankings throughout the country by season's end. And you can get lost in all of this. I think some of that gets skewed. If you want to go yards per play metric, or you want to look at points per possession or something like that, might be a better way to do it as opposed to points per game and some of the other metrics, because I think Florida State's going to have some big leads in a lot of games this year and shut it down. I think it will be a misnomer. Like, Florida State's offense will be better than maybe some of the numbers say they are. I'm not saying they're going to have bad numbers. They're going to have great numbers. But when you look at the schedule, it's a weak schedule. You've got 2 great games out of your first 4 in LSU and Clemson. We all know that. We've all circled that. We've all been willing to admit there's a game out there against somebody, whether that's Pitt or whomever, where the team's going to be a little bit better than projected. All right, gotcha. But for the most part, that schedule screams a handful, at the very least, a handful of ass kickings. And because, that's the other part of this, because you have finally developed a lot of depth and you have finally got some young kids coming up that you're excited about. Not just junior and senior transfer portal kids that you recruited, kids that you've been developing, kids that you want to see now have an opportunity. These great programs, the programs that have sustained success for a decade or more, They recruit well, yes, but their coaching staff do a good job of getting guys into games. They play a lot of guys. They get a lot of guys, a lot of experience. And when do they do that? Well, when they're really good, they got a lot of opportunity to do it because they're in a lot of games when they're up by 3 scores in the fourth quarter. And Florida State is going to be afforded a huge opportunity this year because I think they'll be up 5-6 different games at least by more than 2 or 3 scores going into the fourth quarter. And they'll have a chance to play a ton of these guys that they're excited about. Guys that are getting reps but aren't counted upon right now to be starters. Guys that are, playing but not playing a significant role, a huge role. They're playing a backups role. These will be guys that you get a lot of playing time for. And we will they'll have an opportunity to expedite the growth process, the maturation process of a sophomore who next year in 2024, when you lose a lot of guys, will be counted upon to start, and a guy that without this playing time you'd be worried about would be Green, would be somebody that you're not sure will have their sea legs in the first 6 games, right? Florida State has an opportunity to really kind of change and transform how quickly they can remain or stay relevant within the conference, within the national scene, by the amount of guys they play this year and how many of those guys get a bunch of reps, more than we would have anticipated a couple years ago because Florida State's blowing people out. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
New hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub? Now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
Discover seasonal sensations full of passion and flavor at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. This summer, escape to your own Peruvian paradise in the capital city and experience handcrafted, colorful, refreshing cocktails like the Chilcano de Maracuyá, made with authentic pisco, mixed with lime juice, passion fruit, a splash of ginger ale, and bitters. Or enjoy a classic pisco sour made from grapes produced in the nutrient-rich lands of Peru. At Café de Martín and El Bar, everything is handmade from fresh ingredients con amor y pasión, with love and passion. From the moment you open the doors, you're immersed in the culture and transported to Tallahassee's only upscale Peruvian culinary experience, full of surprises with every dish and every drink. It's Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open Monday through Saturday for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab, all without a car. I'm Jimmy Fasig at Fasig Brooks. We hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Tampa Bay Rays, another 65 home favorite today against Philadelphia, plus 155. 8.5 over the total at Tropicana Field. The Phillies yesterday beat the Rays 8-4 as a plus 109 underdog. The Phillies have won 11 consecutive road games. John Deere Classic TPC Deere Run this week. Silvis, Illinois. Russell Henley, the 14-1 favorite. Denny McCarthy, 16-1. Cameron Young is 18-1. NASCAR Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway with the Quaker State 400. Kyle Busch is 10-1. Chase Elliott 11-1. Ryan Blaney 12-1. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Okay, I'll fess up. One of my favorite parts of 4th of July is finding fun styles for the family to wear. And Kohl's makes it so easy. I found great deals on a cute skirt for me, some button-down shirts for my husband, and adorable shorts and dresses for my kids. Plus, I got us all tees and tanks and saved an extra 20% on everything. So, for summer style and savings, get to Kohl's. Select styles, 20% offer ends June 25th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Oh, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Want a Zaxby's Big Zax snack meal for free? With free fingers, free fries, free Zax sauce, even free Texas toast? All you have to do is download the Zaxby's app. Did you download it yet? Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Bear No Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere.
Save big time in the new year and get $1,200 off select new units.
Online at BaranoAC.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
License CAC 1816-186.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
guys, here, I'll type this in. How? Yep, there we go. Mini. Days. Oh, look at. One of the fun things to do when you type anything into Google and they let you know what else has been searched for that begins with your phrasing, you really can often recognize how dumb people are. Like people will have typed in how many days are in a school year, how many days are in May, how many days. You're like, guys. But anyhow, I just typed in, and now I will give you this. The answer, can you believe it? And I suspected it was. Tomorrow, when you join the Jeff Cameron Show on a Libations Friday, where we're feeling good and ready to roll, I will be able to present to you that we are fewer than 50 days away from college football. 49 as of tomorrow, 49 days away from the start of college football. Get the hell out of town. 49 days away from the start of college football. Fellas, ladies, this is reason to indeed engage and imbibe on a Libations Friday tomorrow. 49 days until we're watching a college football game that counts. Not ours, but 49 days away from watching that, from sitting down and going, college football starting tonight. Don't mind if I do. So if you've got any weight to lose, head on over to Orange Theory Fitness and get it off you. Get that weight off you. Because we know once football starts, it's heavy season. The heavy season, especially when you're nervous. Of great success in the nervous drink. You imbibe a little more than you normally. Games are more fun. Game weekends are more fun. Expectations are high. Stakes are high. De La Soul. So there it is. I mean, you get nervous, but it's reason to celebrate. That I get excited about. At the beginning of the show in the chat, somebody had listed how many days till Florida State played. And again, I just count down until we start college football because I'm a college football fan. Yes, I prefer Florida State over all else. But what if 58 till Florida State plays? Is that right? Something along those lines? Man. Is this, later in the hour, we collaborate with our friends from ISF and Solve for the Future. And that is a 5-star album. Yeah, you're correct, Bill. When we Solve for the Future, a lot of times, I'll pose questions to you guys, ask you about what do we do about this or what do we do about that. And I'm kind of wondering today, anyhow, about what it is that that we're. I know what, I'll save it. I'll save it until later in the hour. At the bottom of the hour, I'll come up with a better question. I want to word it properly, and I'm not set to word it properly, so I'll do it. Now, again, when you are 7 weeks away from college football, it's nearly upon us. By the way, update quick. I know how many of you care deeply about the John Deere Classic. But I have to say this because it's actually relevant. Here you go. You know who's atop the John Deere Classic? That's right, your Florida State Seminole, Jonas Blixt. Back from the dead, shoots a 62 today. All right, Jonas with a little -9 for that ass. That will work. Jonas, who I've had on the golf show on SiriusXM a couple times over the years, is one of the great Seminoles of all time and also a puttin' Jesse because he doesn't do anything else really well. Doesn't hit it real well, isn't long off the tee, isn't straight, doesn't do a lot very well. But get him on the green and that's it. It's going in. Don't you wish you had that? A little 15-footer, I'll make this. You don't say.
Yeah, he held a 40 something a rod foot putt today for his second eagle.
He makes putts.
Yeah,
that's what he does. The college football transfer rule is up for debate, and there's discussion about limiting the window. I don't know if you guys saw that story last week. Earlier in the show, last hour, I referenced just how busy an off-season it's been with quarterback transfers. And welcome into the modern world of college football and watching college football. You know, when baseball starts every year, when we go to spring training, a lot of times, because I'm a big baseball guy, you guys know that, I always kind of try to pick a week where I go visit friends throughout the state and family and try to get to 3 or 4 spring training games. But before we go to do that trip, I always, pull up the rosters and pull up the offseason movement to find out who left, one place and went to another. Did they re-sign this guy or that guy? You never used to have to do that in college football. You still have to do it in the NFL, trades and all that. But you never had to do it back in the day with college football. You did have to look at who left, who graduated, who got drafted. But that was kind of nuts, right? That was just the ACC that I laid bare there. So when you do the so-called system, and when you're 49 days away as of tomorrow from the start of college football, you should start your system. My system back in the day I described years ago when I was first on the air, back when bookstores were an actual thing and were prevalent, and I wish they were, because I could combine two of my favorite things, reading and coffee. And the point would be I used to go get all the preseason magazines, and I'd get a huge cup of coffee, and I'd go sit in the corner, quiet part of the bookstore, and I would read through the conferences, and I would look to see the predictions, and I would also look at who replaced who. Who's the new starting quarterback at North Carolina? Who's the new, I would get just to refresh your memory. You knew about your team, you knew about some of the other teams in the league, but you needed to catch up with everybody else. It is nearly an impossibility, but certainly a necessity to do now. The ACC alone, when I went through the list and gave you Georgia Tech with Haynes King, Louisville with Jack Plummer, NC State with Brennan Armstrong coming over from Virginia, Pitt with Phil Jerkovich, kid that was at Boston College, got a lot of talent. NFL likes him a lot. He was behind a malign offensive line, really struggled there. Tony Muskett, the kid from Monmouth, coming into Virginia. And then I gave you all the other ACC quarterback transfers. The Castellanos kid, the Tyson kid, who went to Clemson via Arizona State. The Brady Allen kid, I'm forgetting all the guys, but those guys, right? If you extrapolate that out and just look around the rest of college football, again, you're looking at the whole big picture of college football and where everybody's at and what your expectations are for them. In the Big 12, all names you know, mostly names you know. How about that? The Slovis kid goes from Pitt to BYU. Emory Jones on his third school in 3 seasons. He's the favorite now to start in Cincinnati. Oh, yeah, that's something you're keeping up with, too. Cincinnati's in the Big 12. Like the juggling of college football. Scott Satterfield is the coach. Jones began his career, that's right, you remember, at Florida. Following the firing of Dan Mullen, he transferred to Arizona State. Arizona State was a mess in 2022, hit the portal again, landed with Cincinnati. Donovan Smith, Houston from Texas Tech. Oklahoma State, the Alan Bowman kid coming over from Michigan. Chance Nolan, TCU, coming over from Oregon State. You have Gunnar Smith, UCF via USF. Xavier Williams, UCF via Charlotte. You can go on. The Baylor via Mississippi State, Sawyer Robertson. In the Big Ten, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. That's right, Cade McNamara went from Michigan to Iowa. They finally have a viable quarterback in Iowa. They may average more than 10 points a game this year, guys. Goodness gracious. Jeff Sims, who we watched beat us here in Tallahassee. A disastrous start. Mike Norvell, remember? Lightning delay. Jeff Sims never really went on to do all that much. Now, I would say in terms of yards and all of those things, he did rack them up, but that was a disaster. It didn't have much help. He goes to Nebraska. Northwestern has Ben Bryant from Cincinnati. Purdue has Hudson Card from Texas. Remember Hudson Card? Wisconsin, Tanner Mordecai, that's from SMU. Same thing. The also worth mentioning, Jack Tuttle, Michigan via Indiana. It is crazy to think about. Sam Hartman's at Notre Dame. You guys know that, right? Wake Forest to Notre Dame. That's good for the independents. If you wanted to do it with Drew Pine, Arizona State from Notre Dame, Sam Jackson from TCU, Ben Finley, NC State, Colorado, Shedeur Sanders from Jackson State. That's Deion's kid. We'll see how he does. A lot of pressure on him and on his dad. See, that gets turned around at all. By the way, if you're wondering where Uyunglele ended up, left Clemson, went to Oregon State. This is... It's fun and it's exhausting and it's weird. It's not my favorite part of all this. Phil Steele is still publishing. Phil Steele, we will get on the program because Phil has been coming on the JCS off and on for, 20 plus years. Phil does a good job, and Phil is very, very high on Florida State, as one would be this year. Has Florida State as a top 5 team to go to the college football playoff. Has talked already about his expectations for this group. A lot of questions have, because of guys like him and others that cover college football nationally, the shift of expectation, and I guess with that pressure, or the pressure that some think it brings to Florida State and the effect it could or could not. I don't really, again, I want to refute that. I don't think this team is feeling that at all. I don't think they've really concerned themselves with others' expectations. When you talk to players, and again, very fortunate, those of us in the media that cover Florida State are very fortunate that we have total access. You get to see these players every day. Hell, in the offseason, they make players available to you at different times. You can talk to coaches at any time. If you want to write a story or you have a talking point and you want confirmation, if there's just something you want to learn about a methodology, a way that they're going about it, say the transfer portal stuff, I've asked directly to Mike Norvell their process, those kinds of things. You can do it. They're open to all of it. And why do I bring that up? Well, because they've already been asked. Late last year, when the team was in the middle of rattling off 6 straight wins and changing the outlook of a season that at one point was in great peril with 3 straight losses, when they turned that all around, the way the season ended, you end the regular season with the win against Florida, and you're set to play Oklahoma in the bowl game in Orlando, and just think we'll be right back in Orlando again real soon, guys. Those were the questions that were being asked of those players. It's great to have a winning season. Do you feel any added pressure to get this 10th win? And then post that win, there's been talk of, in the spring, your thoughts on what everybody is saying about you with the way too early preseason top 25. A lot of guys have you ranked in the top 10. Some have you ranked in the top 5. Do you feel any added pressure to that? What are your thoughts on that, et cetera? To a man, they said no, because nobody could possibly put more pressure on themselves than the pressure we put on ourselves. Nobody from the outside can do that. We want to win, and our goal is to win. And I'm paraphrasing most of these guys now. Not just the ACC, which they haven't done in close to a decade. Sounds hurtful to say aloud. But that's a tall task because Clemson's been really good and wildly successful and consistent. And you got to play them on the road. Now, grant you, even if you lose that game, the reality is with no divisions, you're probably going to be in line to play in that ACC championship game, even if you were to lose that game on the road. I'm not saying you will, just that you would probably be in position to play a rematch game for the conference title. But that hasn't been what they've talked about. They know that that's something that happens along the way. I recall in interviews years ago, You guys know every Sunday I interviewed Jimbo Fisher after he had a chance to watch the film, and he would analyze what he thought went well, what he thought went poorly, what their expectations were this week in practice, the thoughts on the next opponent, all those things. And he would always talk about chasing perfection, knowing that it wasn't possible, but along the way you would run into excellence. And I feel like that's a similar mentality here that, look, we're chasing a national championship. We want an undefeated season. You want to be perfect. It's unlikely that you're going to be perfect, but if you chase it, excellence will happen. You'll run into that along the way. And excellence would be, indeed, winning the conference, making the college football playoff. And I think that's what their expectation of this season is, of themselves, of each other. They're all accountable to one another. Certainly, when you ask Mike about it, you can go back a couple years. He's already talked about this. He can come to Florida State to win 8 games, to win 9 games. He can come to no coach comes here in the right mind expecting just to have some good seasons. Good seasons will eventually get you fired. I remember years and years and years ago, and if you're a younger part of the demo, you won't remember this, but those of you that are a little bit older listening certainly do. You think about Cooper when he was at Ohio State, and there would be 10-win seasons, but you can only lose to your rival so many years in a row before they go, yeah, that's great. That's great. Have a good one. We expect to be good, so you accomplishing us being good on an annual basis doesn't mean anything. It's who we are. At some point, you have to jump from good to great. So nobody coming to a place like Florida State with its many successes and championship. Well, obviously you have your championship seasons, but you have your 10+ win seasons and the 40-year run of success and on all of the 14 straight years of top 4 finishes and all the things that Florida State fans hold on high as a point of pride. You can be pragmatic. You can be very reasonable when you're falling desperately short of that standard. You don't anticipate that the person coming in to fix the problem that has now been a prolonged problem will achieve that overnight. That ultimately that's where you're planning on going, but you also know that when you have a coach leave in the situation that he did at the end of Jimbo's time, they were 5-6 when Jimbo left here. The last 2 games coached by Odell, but they were 5-6. So he left here in his final season with a losing record. And behind the scenes was in shambles. A disconnect between the athletic department, the coaching staff, the administration. There had been a halt to recruiting. They hoped that Willie would get that turned around. Obviously, Willie came in, did not have success. More problems arose. The success on the field didn't come. The problems off the field were further exacerbated. They didn't get fixed at all. In fact, there were more fires to put out. So now all of a sudden, you got another coach. You're third in 4 years. You're third in 4 years. So nobody thought, all right, well, this will get turned around and we'll get back to the standard of 10-win seasons and championship runs and conference titles and All-Americans and Heisman Trophy candidates and first and second round draft picks. Nobody thought that'll happen overnight, but it was an awfully tough pill to swallow when you had the COVID season followed by the 5-7 season and the thought that, oh my God, we are miles away. But how quickly it turns around because of the cachet of Florida State, the success of Mike and this staff, and what they just did last year. The point would be that once you get back on solid ground, once you get back to winning 10 games, once you get back to recruiting at a high level, we think it's going to be a top 10 class, right? That's a high level. I mean, there are a lot of teams in college football, they would desperately love to be top 10. And think about where we hold this staff, this university, this program. If they finish 9th in recruiting, there will be a fairly sizable segment of our fan base that will be pissed. 9th? You got to buck up. We got to be better than that, guys. We're not 9th. This is Florida State. You got to have top 5 class after top 5 class after top 5 class. You can find that unreasonable if you want to, but there's a fairly large segment of this fan base that absolutely expects that. Absolutely expects that. So now that they have found solid ground and reached the 10-win plateau, you can't go backwards. And Mike knows that. he didn't come here to be a 9-10 win. He came here to play for national titles. Now you gotta walk before you can run, and now they're running. And how fast can they run, and how quickly can they win that race? This year, like last year, there is a measuring stick. Every year is. Are you sustaining, getting better, or falling back? The 10 wins was a massive leap forward. Do you sustain this year, or do you get better? How much closer at the end of this year are you to playing for a national title, putting together an annual expectation of being a college football playoff team? It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whitten Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whitten Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Some people call me Paul because I work at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Everyone that works here will proudly answer to the name Paul. One of the things I love about my job is that I get to help people fix their problems every day. If you have pests in your home, and you're like 99.9% of the people I deal with, you want them gone, not tomorrow, but right now. It always puts a smile on my face to hear the reaction of a customer when I tell them we'll have someone out there in a couple of hours. At Paul's, I get the privilege of making your environment safer and more healthy for your family and pets. And because Paul's provides a same-day service guarantee with minimal wait, we get to begin the process right after I receive the call.
If you live in Leon County and call us by noon, Paul's Pest Control will be out by 5, guaranteed. We're a local company, and it's our mission to help keep Tallahassee area customers comfortable and free from the problem that pests bring. And we do so with treatments that are friendly to our environment for the elimination of termites and any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Discover seasonal sensations full of passion and flavor at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. This summer, escape to your own Peruvian paradise in the capital city and experience handcrafted, colorful, refreshing cocktails like the Chilcano de Maracuyá, made with authentic pisco, mixed with lime juice, passion fruit, a splash of ginger ale, and bitters. Or enjoy a classic pisco sour made from grapes produced in the nutrient-rich lands of Peru. At Café de Martín and El Bar, everything is handmade from fresh ingredients con amor y pasión, with love and passion. From the moment you open the doors, you're immersed in the culture and transported to Tallahassee's only upscale Peruvian culinary experience, full of surprises with every dish and every drink. It's Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open Monday through Saturday for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we're hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your
Has asked the umpires to check the bat to make sure it was legal.
Yeah, check the bat. It's been a while since I've seen somebody check a bat.
Well, he had a piece of plastic on the knob of the bat, and Dave Martinez didn't like it. Now, if you guys haven't been paying attention, obviously the Reds have been on a roll. De La Cruz is the biggest reason for that. He's a fun player, kind of a freak. Anyhow, they made him take off the piece of plastic off the end of the bat because they weren't sure whether it was legal or not. They hadn't heard back from the league on a determination, and the league communicated back and said, look, the plastic thing on the end of the bat is no big deal. We don't care. It can stay on there. Doesn't matter. But it really didn't matter because in the fifth inning, he hit a 450-plus foot home run and proceeded to look back at Dave Martinez and gestured, if you'd like to check the bat again, by all means. From there, he went on to add 2 doubles, scored another run, and is really good for baseball. He's just fun, and it makes me envious because we have a guy like that, Onel Cruz, who broke his ankle in the first week of the season because his dumbass doesn't know how to slide into home. But they're the same guy. Like, obscenely tall and lanky and can really create a ton of bat speed and torque and run and do things, and it's silly. That coupled with the end of that Marlins-Cardinals game, yesterday, I should say, I did the thing where I gave you an update on your midseason American League report, and then I've also talked about the Braves last hour and how much I love watching Ronald Acuna Jr. play and how good that team is. And there are guys like him and others that are doing things that belong in the pantheon of like all-time great seasons. Shohei Ohtani obviously is number 1 on that list, doing something that's never been done before. But around him and all those numbers are these other guys doing really cool things like that. I saw this from Poznansky. Joe's stuff is always really interesting and really good and well researched. So I'm just going to throw this back out there and circle back on this for you Braves fans. And I know most of the listeners to this show, if we had a greatest percentage labeled on there, are Braves fans. And I like your team. I like watching your team play. They're a fun team to watch play. They're also freaking really good. They're 58-28. They're going to the playoffs, and they are a serious contender to win another World Series here. And so it's been a nice run. And Ronald Acuna Jr. is the guy I picked before the season started and got pretty good odds for it to win the MVP. So right now, all I'm doing is crossing my fingers, not on behalf of Braves fans, but on behalf of my bank account, that Ronald Acuna Jr. stays healthy, because this has been a silly, silly run. And the stats I gave you about a 21 homer, 41 stolen base pre-All-Star run is pretty remarkable. We don't see people do that. So these are the most stolen bases with blank amount of homers, okay, in a season. You ready for this? You'll like this number. You'll like this, Matthew. You love these kinds of. All right, so we'll start with 0 and we'll go from there, right? Okay, so these are the players that had the most stolen bases in a given season, a full season, okay, with a certain amount of home runs, all right? And then I'll add to it each time. This is important because Ronald Acuna Jr. could do something that nobody's ever done, all right? So you start with 0 home runs. All right, well, in 1982, Ricky Henderson stole 130 bases. 10-plus home runs. Back again to 82, Ricky Henderson had 10-plus home runs, stole 130 bases. 20-plus home runs. 1986, now the years change because not a lot of people hit for power and continue to steal that many bases, right? So 20-plus home runs in a season with more than 80 stolen bases. Ricky Henderson, the only one to do that. Get back to my point about Ricky Henderson being somehow underrated. 20-plus home runs in a season in 1986, 87 stolen bases. 30-plus home runs, most combination of home runs to stolen bases in a given season that year. Who do you think it is? Got a guess? It's not Ricky Henderson. It's Barry Bonds. And people forget Barry Bonds because he's skinny Barry Bonds in Pittsburgh. It's pre-steroid Barry Bonds in Pittsburgh, who was also still an MVP.
Did you say 86?
No, 1990.
90. Okay.
1990 Barry Bonds. He hit more than 30 home runs, and he stole 52 bases. All right? 40-plus home runs. Most stolen bases in a 40-plus home run season? Alex Rodriguez, 1998. 40 home runs, 46 stolen bases. 50-plus homers in a season. What do you think the number is in terms of stolen bases with a 50-plus home run season?
I don't think anybody's ever gone 50-50, so I would say 35.
Good guess. 50-plus home runs, Willie Mays stole 24 bases. 60-plus home runs, the most amount of stolen bases in a year in which somebody hit over 60 home runs. That would be the steroid era, much like Alex Rodriguez. That would be Sammy Sosa. 1998, he stole 18 bases and hit more than 60 home runs. And then finally, and you could guess it, there's one guy, 70 home runs. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Barry Bonds in 2001 hit more than 70 home runs and stole 13 bases. Now, well, you could bring this up and you'd say, why would you do it? Well, how high on that chart is Ronald Acuna Jr. going to climb? He is currently sitting with 21 home runs and 41 stolen bases before the All-Star break. He could hit 40-plus home runs and have more than 75 stolen bases. This is a season for the ages. He's going to surpass people on this list. And the Braves, who I'm talking about now, and it's annoying if you're not a Braves fan, I got it. Of their 11 players with 100-plus plate appearances, 10 have a triple-digit OPS plus ranking. The only one below is Michael Harris II, who fell to 98 OPS plus on Wednesday by going 1 for 5 in that 8-1 win over Cleveland. While we're on the subject of crazy stats and who's going to the playoffs and who isn't, how are the Miami Marlins 51-37? It's impossible. The Marlins are 12th in the National League in runs scored. Their ace, Sandy Alcantara, as I like to say, the defending National League Cy Young Award winner, is 3-7 this year with a 4.93. They have been outscored on the season, the Marlins have. They have the third best record in the league. How? Even Arias. Nice little story, but he's begun to fade, and he's really not that big a factor anymore. The Marlins are 21-5 in one-run games. If you want to fade somebody for a second-half record, fade the Miami Marlins. They keep on finding ways to win, including rather improbably last night, and it's fun, and I don't have anything against them, and it's whatever, and I'm glad they beat the Cardinals on an air. All of that's cool. But you can't be 21-5 in one-run games and have your best pitcher suck and have a negative plus-minus run differential to the likes of which they do and be 51-37. The likelihood of them making the playoffs is at over 70% as we sit here currently, and I'll do this just for you before we break and get to probables. Philadelphia Phillies are 46-39. They have turned it on the road. Interesting. Is Craig Kimbrell going to be your MVP?
Somebody has to be.
Dude, Craig Kimbrell in April and May had a 5.85 ERA, gave up 5 home runs in 20 innings. In June and July, he's 2-0 with an 0.60, 0 homers in 14 innings. The difference between the record in those first 2 months, April, May, 25-30 for the Phillies and 21-9. So, you know, a lot of people might have picked Trey Turner before the year to be an MVP. It's going to be Craig Kimbrell.
Just for comparison, so I looked up, so as you said, Acuna is at 21-41 for the home run steal split. To compare him to a current star, Trout, in his breakout year in 2012, he went 30-49 for the year.
30-49 for the year.
And Acuna is going to
obliterate
past both of those numbers.
Obliterate it. It's crazy. Yeah, I that's why I wanted to bring those numbers up. I thought, you know, look, we're having fun here. Acuna's doing things that gets overshadowed because of how good Shohei Ohtani is, but in any other year, if Shohei Ohtani didn't exist, all we would be doing is talking about Acuna.
Who do you think is the MVP between those two?
Well, Shohei, but I mean, well, because Ohtani's a top 10 pitcher and he's going to hit 50-plus homers. I mean, what Ohtani's done is never been done. Acuna, ironically, is doing something that maybe has never been done or is on pace to do something that's never been done, and it's going to be largely overshadowed because of how good Shohei is. It's nuts. But, I mean, it's a lot of fun because one's in the American League, one's in the National League, and it's just you just wish that you could get Shohei somewhere where he could be seen on a nightly basis. Acuna at least can be seen. People on the East Coast all see him, and the Braves are fun to watch.
Yeah, that's the big hope for Ohtani in this upcoming offseason is that he goes somewhere where, even if it's the Dodgers.
Yeah,
just somewhere where he can be more widely seen by a broader audience.
You know where he needs to go. Everybody knows he needs to go to the Yankees, or the Mets, and I don't want that, of course. I don't need any of that. Speaking of which, I don't know that anybody wants to be associated with the Yankees right about now. The stuff going on there, it's happened again? You got to be kidding me. So I said I was going to break, but I'm going to break after this. Just so people know, they had another guy get suspended for domestic violence. What are we doing in the clubhouse in Yankee Stadium, folks? Jimmy Cordero has been suspended for the rest of the season and postseason for violating the domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. Now, that's one policy that covers all of it, so I don't know what aspect of that is. But anyhow, you have players and coaches coming out saying, well, you know, we've been fully supportive of the investigation, and, you know, look, we want him to get help, and, you know, look, it's bigger than baseball. So he's not the first Yankee to violate the league's domestic policy, domestic abuse policy. Domingo Germán, who just pitched a perfect game, was suspended 81 games and missed the entire 2020 campaign after sitting part of the 2019 campaign out for slapping his girlfriend at an event in 2019 and then becoming more physically violent when they got home to the point where she had to hide in the closet till the cops got there. I just want to add this to the mix here. Let's not forget that Aroldis Chapman was suspended 30 games while with the Yankees in 2016 for domestic abuse as well. Get it together, Yankees. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Was arrested in Middle Georgia in connection to a late May hit and run in Leon County. The Tallahassee Police Department announced 23-year-old Manuel E. Holiday II was arrested in Muskogee County and will be extradited to Leon County. He was charged in the May 27th hit and run on West Tennessee Street near Lukeman Lane that claimed the life of Shantelia Smith. It was a deadly Independence Day in Wakulla County. A spokesperson for the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office confirmed deputies were looking into 2 separate drowning incidents from Tuesday. One of the incidents happened in a neighborhood in Crawfordville. The other incident occurred on the water in the St. Mark's area. The investigations into both instances appear to show these are nothing more than tragic accidents. WCSO said they would not release any other information on either incident out of respect for the families of those involved. This is Rachel Anay with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems. systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macamoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, more clouds and sun. Highs level off around 93. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows dip down to about 75. Partly cloudy skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Highs level off around 94. Overcast. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 93.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Do you have spring fever? Your only prescription is the Lawn Johns. Hi, it's Mark from the Lawn Johns. We can make your landscape more appealing by providing you with award-winning lawn care. With 4 levels of service, the Lawn Johns offers you more choices than the rest. More flowers, more mulch, or more pine straw all means that your home or office will be more beautiful than ever. Got spring fever? Go to thelawnjohns.com or just look for our big purple truck.
I gotta have more cowbell.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying? Yes. I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans.
Those are my folks. And I got so carried away with baseball and how good it's been and how it is that it's, growing again in popularity. And it's a beautiful thing. And guys are doing historical things. But am I going to ignore compensation studies? Am I going to ignore process innovation? Am I going to ignore all the things they've done to help out the Department of Economic Opportunity, the Children and Families, Department of Health, Department of State? No, I'm not going to do that. So ISF, I love you, and I'll get you right tomorrow. In the interim, please forgive me. Paramill Training Academy. Camps are going on right now. You got a kid playing softball or baseball, and you don't know what to do with them this summer, but you want them to get better. You want them to be fueled to play in their leagues, respectively, coming up this fall. Well, here you go. Take them on down to Paramill and get into their training program, which will equip them, all ages, at all skill levels to boot. And they'll give you the specific skills needed to excel on and off the field. That's right. Book now, PowerMillSports.com. And away we go. Cue it up, good sir.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Detroit is pasting Oakland 8-0. I know, you're shocked. Michael Lorenzen started that game for Detroit. Hogan Harris started for the A's. Cubs lead Milwaukee 1-0. That's Marcus Stroman and Freddie Peralta. They've played a lot lately. Cincinnati and Washington, they're in a delay in the top of the second. Brandon Williamson and Mackenzie Gore. We got the Jays and the White Sox, Jose Barrios, Lance Lynn. Blue Jays, White Sox, Yusei Kikuchi, and TBD. Phillies, Rays, Christopher Sanchez, Sean Armstrong. Cardinals, Marlins, Jack Flaherty. Only Flaherty. Yuri Perez goes for the Marlins. We got the Orioles and the Yankees. Kyle Bradish, Luis Severino. Royals, Cardinals. That'd be Luis. Jordan Lyles still sucks. 1-11 with a 6.68, but by all means, roll him out there. Jordan Lyles was once a relief pitcher for the Pirates where he sucked. He has somehow sustained that level of suck and gotten paid more elsewhere to suck even greater. Tanner Bibby goes for the Guardians. We got the Rangers and Red Sox. Nathan Eovaldi, Cutter Crawford, cool name there. Mariners, Astros. George Kirby with the most ordinary name ever. Well, that reminds me of George Kirby. Who's that guy? You remember him? He had the Honda. It was like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Yeah, George, that's right. Yeah, kept the lawn looking good. Astros TBD. Mets, D-backs, Carlos Carrasco, Ryan Nelson, and finally tonight the Pirates and Dodgers into 4-game set. Johan Oviedo and Julio Urias, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Yeah, so have you watched nightly? Have you watched baseball nightly? Because I will tell you, again, I'm riveted. I'm watching every night. Well, your Phillies are good, so you're back to being good again anyhow.
Well, yeah, they're getting better.
They're better. They're a lot better. They went on a nice run.
I know we're both upset at this free fall that the Cardinals are in as well.
No, it's heartbreaking. Yeah, you just hate it. You hate to see it. In fact, why don't we go back and look and see exactly where they stand? Shall we do that together, everybody? Yeah, the Cardinals have lost 3 straight. They're a robust 35-51. Minus 39 in run differential. Dead ass last in the NL Central. That's a toughie. That's a toughie. Meanwhile, out of nowhere, the Arizona Diamondbacks lead the NL West still over the Dodgers and Giants.
You know, that's another of the young prospects that gets overlooked is Corbin Carroll in Arizona, and he is a beast as well.
Well, they're plus 33. They're 50-37. They're not going to hold off the Dodgers for the whole year, I don't think. But damn, man, that's a cool story. There have been lots of cool stories this year. The Cincinnati story is a good story. I'm happy for all the Reds fans in my life. There's a bunch of them. I'd like them to slow their roll. But it's been a little fun run here. Texas at 51-36 has been good. And then, of course, the race in the American League East, which will be riveting the rest of the way. Because Baltimore's not really going anywhere. They're a good baseball team. They're 50-35 right now. Just, what are they, 5 games back, I think it is, of the Rays. And the Rays are in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, and they're still 57-32. Well, it, helps to get off to the start that they did. But, yeah, there are a lot of good stories in the game right now, which is helpful. T. Lizzie makes his way back in town tomorrow, and I'm sure we're all going to be celebrating the fact that there are just 49 days away from the start of college football when he gets back. It is crazy to think about. We thought this would be the interminable offseason, and it just hasn't been. There's just been enough news to kind of carry the day. I think between recruiting and then again the expectation and the ability to kind of expound on those expectations and try to zero in on exactly where we're all at, and the rise of baseball being good this year, and kind of a renewed sense of, even if that's on the periphery for you, there are a lot of people that are kind of at least tuning back in 4 or 5 innings at a time. The game is paced in such a way that you're not just sitting around waiting for I went back, I was watching a highlight from 2 nights ago. There was a highlight from a game 4 years ago, and it had something to do with an immaculate inning, and they were showing that how long it took for an immaculate inning. That shouldn't take any time. It should, it's freaking 9 pitches, and it took longer for the immaculate inning to finish than a standard inning that we watch now. With 5 foul balls and a single and a double play, and it's 34 minutes a game. 34 minutes a game have been shaved off up to this point. That is probably better than they thought they were going to do coming into the season. I would guess. They thought maybe 20 minutes, but you get it. And I would guess that, by the way, next year might even be quicker.
You and I are both diehards, and over the years we've talked about how we're always going to stick with baseball.
Yeah.
But we understand why people would drift away from the game
Like
because it
kids.
was so slow.
Well, and kids.
But they are doing everything right now.
They are. And I think they're about to do some more things right. I think they're getting really, really close to the thing that we talked about yesterday on the show. Think about what we talked about. For those that missed it yesterday, there's a video. Did you figure out what league that was in? There's a video.
It's AAA.
Oh, it was AAA? So you can find it now online. The things that we've talked about as as a show, there are advancements now with technology to a point where a batter can stand in the box and all the same rules apply now, right? There's a pitch clock. You can't keep stepping out of the box and adjusting your gloves and staring down the foul line or any of that other stuff. Like let's go. We're engaged now. We're engaged. Time to go. So that's all in place. That all originated in the minor leagues. And they were able to kind of incorporate that for a couple of years, and now it's made its way into the major leagues. So that's why I bring this part up. Normally, when they float these new technological advances out there, they're doing it to see how soon they can get it into the major leagues. How well does it work in the minor leagues? They try all their experiments down there in the minor leagues, which you can and can't do, the shift and everything else, right? So they have it now set up in the system where the strike zone, not unlike the baseline in tennis or the service line in tennis, they know exactly where that pitch is. And once they were able to show the depth on that is where it really mattered, because I think you could see just the box. It could be a little bit of a misrepresentation of what's a strike and what's not. But now they have that height, depth, all of it.
And I just played that video for the people watching on YouTube. But for the people listening, that entire process takes 10 seconds.
It's crazy. Ball's outside, calls it a strike. Batter doesn't like the call, taps his helmet twice. Umpire recognizes that's the form of debate, if you will. That's him saying, no, I protest. Don't like it. Does the tap, turns around, looks at the guy who's monitoring the computer, gets told that it's a ball, turns back, corrects it 1-0 instead of 0-1. And it's over in 10 seconds. It's amazing. Good work out of you today. Our thanks to Michael Langston and all of you as well for listening. Appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow on a Libations Friday, everybody. Be well. Take care.